Hello and welcome back to Mayster Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about The Infernal Machine starring Guy Pearce. Now, this film was a very interesting one and it was a great exploration of what happens when you have basically one actor by himself with very little company just doing what he does best. Now, this film was great in exploring guilt and how a man carries the responsibility of creating something into the world that causes a whole lot of trouble. Now, that's obviously in the plot where essentially I think there was a massacre at a school somewhere, an educational establishment in America, and the lad who was responsible for it had read this author's novel, and the author feels an enormous amount of guilt for and I think it had almost nihilistic qualities, the novel, and it was and he feels this a tremendous amount of guilt for enforcing that on the world, and he's kind of shut himself off and never written a second book. And I think it's great for exploring that sort of guilt in a person. And obviously there's different twists and turns and surprises along the way, and that which were unexpected from a film like this. But that is the general basis of the plot. And the way that was executed, but especially around Guy Pearce's performance and character, was incredibly well done. I do feel that it kept my attention and retained that for a very long, sustained period of time. And the fact how they are able to do that with very minimal resources, I was very impressed with. There were some mild elements of horror in there that kept me on the edge of my seat. A very psychological horror based on the description I've already given you up until this point, as I'm sure you can imagine. But yes, it was the way it unfolded and developed was very satisfying, and it was a very chewy bit of meat to get into in terms of a story. It kind of falls in line with the likes of an Experience film and the likes of India Sweets and Spices, which is my previous review of this one, if you want to check that out. But it kind of falls in the line of that, where it's not just some fun watch and it's not some epic. It is just a big chunk of meat if you have free time in your hands. And I think this is the most common watch period for a lot of people, especially my age, that you find you have family time for comedies like India Sweets and Spices, and you have big experience films for like blockbusters. When it's maybe movie night, for example, and you actually either go to the cinema or watch it on DVD. But as for The Infernal Machine, it's kind of one where if you've got about 2 hours to yourself, that seems like a really good option. It's a good one. Guy Pearce acts by himself. I think it's a good film to see by yourself and experience by yourself. It's not a very big crowd-pleasing film. And for that, I think it's to almost its benefit that it's good for a solo audience, a bunch of singletons in a room. I think it's a better experience that way, and I think that's one of the rare films I've seen this year where I do feel that effect on me for that. So, but yes, it's a great time. Then that is my review of The Infernal Machine. So I will see you all next time for, what is it now? Violent Night. Yes, the midpoint of this particular batch. So I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.